Hello and welcome to Sally's Custom Clay Works. Today we are going to be making, dun dun dun, kitty cat canisters. I'm so excited to share this fun project with you. It's a simple project and it's good for all ages. And canisters are really fun to make because you can put many things in them. I think I might use mine for my toothbrush and toothpaste. Maybe you'll figure out some other fun thing to put in there. Maybe rocks or something like that. Or kitty food. I don't know. You'll come up with something. But what you'll need for this project is your clay kit. We're using a white stoneware clay. You will need your bucket of slip and a paintbrush. You'll definitely need a straight edge. You'll need in your toolkit that you have, you'll need your squeegee tool. It has 2 rubber ends. You'll also need a sharp tool of some kind, either a toothpick if you don't have one, or a pen tool could work. It's the really sharp tipped one. And then you will also need probably a wooden tool for decorating. So I think that's all you need. Oh, and your brown paper on your table. We're going to work on our brown paper today. Other than that, that's all the materials that you'll need for this fun and exciting project. We're going to start out with a larger piece of clay. This one is going to be about the size of your hand, maybe big enough that your fingers can't wrap around it. And if you're a little person, you're going to need it about the same size that I have here. It's really hard to tell. Let's see, what can I tell you? It's like the length of an adult finger. And I have them in your kit kind of lined up in balls in your kit. This is the largest ball. So we'll just say that. The largest ball in your kit is the one you're going to start with. And we're going to first work on just making the sides of our little pot or canister. You need your rolling pin. And if you don't happen to have a rolling pin, you can use your hand to smack your piece of clay out into a big, large, flat piece. But since I have a rolling pin, that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to start out by hitting my clay with the palm of my hand, kind of getting it loosened up. And I want to make it into kind of a big, flat piece. The goal is to have it kind of in a big, longer piece. This is going to be the size of our canister. So I don't need it super tall, although tall is not a bad thing. I more so need the length. The length is nice because it gives us the width around our canister. So this is going to be the outside piece of our canister. Okay, so once you have that, you're going to take your straight edge and you're just going to very simply cut off this bottom wavy piece. And my hand is on the wrong direction here, but you can see it. I'm going to just cut off this bottom wavy piece here. So I'm putting my ruler down, holding it down, and then just holding my sharp tool there and cutting it off. You can use a toothpick to do that as well. So now you'll notice that I have this piece here that sits nice and flat on the table. So that's the goal, is to just, and it doesn't have to be super tall, but if yours is taller than mine, that's fine too. You can fit taller things in it. Next, we're going to work on the bottom piece. And you're going to want just a medium-sized ball. It doesn't need to be very big. This clay is really dry. I'm going to try a different piece here. Our room is warm. So if your room is warm and it starts to dry out on you, you can always add just a little bit of water to your clay. I'm just hitting the clay with the palm of my hand, loosening it up. And I'm going to flatten it just a little bit. And I forgot to mention the thickness of the clay goal is 1/4 inch thick. So that's where we're headed. We're going to do 1/4 inch thickness. And you'll notice I'm making this bigger than my actual pieces here. I'm going to just set it on top and I'm going to trace around it and cut it out as I go. So just trace around. Once we have it cut, we can remove the extra clay. And you can kind of smooth it out just a little bit. And now we are going to put this together. So this is just a really simple way. This is like how we hand build cups and things too. But it's just a very simple method of getting things together pretty quickly. We can score, which means to make a little marks. Anytime we put two things together in clay, we score and slip. Scoring just means making little marks. So I'm going to make little X's all the way around. And I'm doing this on the top portion of the clay. I'm not doing it on the sides. If I was wrapping this around the sides, then I would do it on the side. But I'm just doing a really simple method today, setting it directly on top. And you're going to be needing your slip in just a minute. We're also going to be scoring all along the bottom edge of our piece here. So we're going to score all along this bottom edge. So we've scored all along the top of our circular piece. And now we're going to score all along the bottom edge. Okay. Doing little X's all the way down. And then we're also going to score where the piece is going to overlap when I put it together. So it's going to be overlapping over here on this side, and I've got a little bit of a crack going there. I'm not too worried about it because I'm demonstrating, but if you have any cracks anywhere, you're going to want to kind of smooth them out with your finger. You can always use a little bit of water with a sponge to help smooth things out too. So this is going to overlap here and be put together here. So I'm actually going to score also on this side, making my marks. And now we can slip. And slip is just clay and water that's been mixed together. It's kind of a slurry of clay, if you will. It's our glue. So we're going to use a liberal amount. And we're only going to put it on one side. And then we'll put it on the side, one of the sides that it's overlapping as well. I'm going to set this on top. Okay, and then make sure you have the correct side overlapping on the outside. Just like so. Now we can turn it over, and mine's kind of uneven on that rim, which is what I wanted, but I want to just make sure that this bottom seam is together. So I'm just going to kind of squeeze it together a little bit more. It's more ideal to have it sitting on your table, but mine is so uneven I can't have it sitting. And you can take the inside and press it together just a little bit. Make sure that this spot here that you had just overlapped is also together quite well. This is where we're going to be putting our kitty cat. And you can flare out your rim if you want. You could change the shape. I'm just pinching with my fingers to flare the rim, so I'm just changing the shape just a little bit. When you do this, you want to be careful not to rip it though. Like I caused a little rip here because I wasn't really watching what I was doing. So I'm just going to pinch it back together, kind of run over it with my finger. Okay, once you have your little pot made, you can set it aside, and we're just going to let it set up and dry a little bit while we're working on making our kitty. Now's the fun part. So in your kit, you have a bunch of, well, you should have a another medium-sized ball, and this is going to be for the kitty. And I want you to just kind of get it in, hit it with the palm of your hand and kind of get it into a more oblong shape, more of a oval shape. That's the word I'm looking for, more of an oval shape. And then we're going to roll it out. And I'm not being too particular about the shape that it becomes, except for I want it to be wider at the bottom than it is at the top. So I'm really pressing down at the bottom to kind of give it that wider look. I want it to be narrower at the top, and this one is going to be really tall. So it's not necessary to be that tall. The real goal here is to roll it out to where it is 1/4 inch thickness. Now in your kit, I'm going to make you a template for your kitty that you can use. You can just place it on there and trace around it. For now, I'm just going to cut my kitty shape out, which you can also do. You do not have to use my template. So you can see why I wanted it narrower at the top and wider at the bottom. I really need this width at the bottom to make the kitty look round, but it's not really necessary to have a big top. And you're gonna kind of just use your finger to smooth that all out, make it look nice. And then you're going to see how it looks on your pot. So I've got mine, and I'm just checking to see how it looks. Looks pretty good. It's good shape and everything. Not bad for doing a quick job of it. And now we can start with our kitty cat features. So for this, we're just going to be making little balls. So you'll want 2 balls for the eyes, and you want them to be similar shape. So I just pinched off a little bit of clay. I'm making sure they're about the same size. And now I'm going to roll them in the palm of my hand. I've got 1. I've got 2. And I'm going to flatten them out a little bit. These are going to be my eyes, and I don't want them to be too big or the cat will look very frightened and kind of spastic. So if we take a look at what I made, those are really big. We don't want them that big. So I'm actually gonna, you can either cut them down to size if you want, or you can just pinch some clay off and start again, which after I cut these, if I don't like them, I'm just gonna start again. So I'm gonna roll up the clay. 1 on one hand, 1 on the other. Make sure they're the same size or similar. Flatten them out. Oops, messed that up. Try again. That's the nice thing about clay is you can always start over if it does something that you bonk it weird or it does something you don't care for. You can start again. We don't want them eyes. We don't want them eyes. We don't want the eyes to be very thick either. We want them to be fairly thin, otherwise it'll look weird. My clay is really dry and it's very hot in here, so I'm just smoothing out any cracks that I ended up getting when I pushed on them. I might just have to start over with that one. The clay is pretty dry. Okay, so now I've got 2 eyes, and now I need a teeny tiny piece for the nose. And the nose is kind of cute because it's a little ball, but then it's just pinched on one side. So I'm just pinching on one side and then flattening the other side to make it kind of a triangular shape. Whoops. So pinched on one side, flattened it on the other side. You can see it's a little triangular shape. And that is going to go between the eyes there. And I'm just kind of pressing it down a little bit. The next thing we're going to do is the little mouth parts. So these balls need to be a little bit smaller than our eye balls. So we want them to be a little smaller than the eyeballs. So I've got 1, I've got 2. And these ones are a little bit more oval shaped. So you can make them more oval shaped. And check the size. Make sure they're similar in size. And then kind of flatten them down. And all I'm doing to flatten them down is I'm just pressing with my finger, making them flat. So I've got 1 on one side and 1 on the other side. And that's looking really cute already. I haven't even decorated it or anything. Before I decorate it, I'm going to want to score and slip. All right, so next step is going to be to score and slip these parts on. You can kind of mark around them where you had them so you know where they're supposed to go when you're scoring. So I'm just taking that sharp tool. You can use your toothpick for this if you need to. Just kind of marking them. And then I'm also going to flip them over. So I'm flipping them over because I'm going to score the back sides of them as well. And I'm going to pull that nose off and mark. So I'm marking where the eyes go, marking where the mouth is, and I'm also going to mark on the back sides of all of the little pieces. Making sure I'm doing this on the right side. Which way did I have it? There we go. I'm going to score it on this side. Now I'm going to put some slip down. My slip is a little thick. It doesn't have to be quite that thick. You could add a tiny bit of water to it and it would be a little better. I think I'll be okay though. And then we're going to put our eyeballs on. I'm just pressing a little bit. I'm going to do the big eyeballs first, pressing them. The nose next. Let's see, the nose, the pointed end goes down. And then we've got our little kitty cat mouth. And now we get to put in the details. This is the fun part. The details, we're going to put 2 dots for eyes. 1, 2. And the tool that I'm using to do this is my squeegee tool. It's the one with the rubber tip. I'm using the rounded side. It's hard to see, but anyway, I'm using the rounded side. And in my example, I kind of have these little dots here and there and everywhere, and you can do that if you like or not. It's up to you. You can also put some whiskers in, so I'm going to just use that same side of the tool that I made the eyes, putting some whiskers in. Now you have to be brave when you do that. Just be confident and just go for it. I'm going to put a few little dots on his whiskers, on his mouthpiece. And I also like to make a little mark in his ears, so you can see a little definition in the ears. And maybe a few cute little dots around the eyes. I'm just decorating at this point. And you can also decorate your cup piece a little bit. So you can use your squeegee tool to draw in dots and swirls and all kinds of things. You can kind of see in mine, I had drawn in some little details on the back side just to make it interesting, but it's not necessary if you don't want to. The other thing you can draw in are some eyebrows. You can draw in some feet. The feet are really simple. They're just little lines. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Show them up close. You can see the feet. Okay. And then let's talk about the tail. The tail is fun because it's just like when you were in kindergarten, or maybe you still are in kindergarten, and you made snakes with Play-Doh. So for this part, you do want a nice fresh piece of clay. You want it to be soft. You don't want a really hard piece. And we're going to get it soft in our hands and then roll it out on the table. And this is going to make it look like a tail. And I like to have a thicker end to the tail and a thinner end to the tail. The thinner end is the end that we are going to curl under. And I just was going to do it one way and I decided to do the other because I had a wrinkle in there. So if your tail starts to crack at all when you start to bend it around, you need to start again, because if it's cracked, then it's just going to keep cracking in the firing. So you don't want it to crack. You want to bend it nice and slowly. That's the trick. And you want wet clay. So after you've got it curled around and you like the shape, then you can cut it off. So cut it off. I kind of cut it off at an angle so that it looks like it's tucked behind the body here. So I cut it off a little bit of an angle so that it's tucked behind the body. And then you can smooth it out if there's anything funky going on. You can do it any which way. You can put the tail this way, you can put the tail on the other side. It's really hard to see from the angle that you're at. You can put your tail any which way you like. We're okay, thanks. So you just decide how you like it. I'm going to put the tail on at the very end, so I'm not really going to worry about it right at this moment. I'm going to put my kitty cat onto my piece next. And so in order to put this on here, what do we need to do? Do you remember?
Score and slip.
Yes, scoring and slipping. So I don't want to get rid of my tail, but I do want to work on scoring and slipping this together. So we're going to score the back side of this. And then I'm putting my kitty cat right where we had overlapped it before. And that is an important thing to do because it just covers up the ugly overlap that we had there. If your piece was really, really long, you could have cut it off a little bit, but the whole point is to cover it up. So I've got my slip on there. And for this, we want to be careful not to create a pocket in here. So we're going to zipper it up. We're going to start at the bottom and we're going to press in as we go up, so making sure we are not creating a pocket there. Okay, I've got mine on there. And now I'm kind of pressing from the inside out, making sure it's really on there and changing the shape just a little bit. There, so now I have my kitty and now I can think about my cute little tail. And I was moving my tail around an awful lot while I was demonstrating, but I think that it will work really well on this side. So if you find a spot you like it, go ahead and score and slip it on. And you can get creative with the details of your kitty. Maybe you want your kitty cat to have a patch around its eye, or we can always paint it differently too. So think about stripes, or maybe you want to have an orange kitty, or whatever it is. Think about all those little details and anything that you would need to add now to make it happen later. So I scored that bottom part. I'm also going to score just a little bit at the top of the tail, just to give it a good place to attach to on the body of my canister. I scored it, slipped again, give it a little press. Then the last thing you want to do, because our pieces might look a little similar, is put your name on the bottom. So you're going to flip it over, take your squeegee tool, and put your name and the date. So I put 21 because it's 2021. And then you can decorate your pot as much as you like and let it dry. So for the first night, I'd like you to cover it loosely with a piece of plastic. Then you will need to take the plastic off and let it dry. Bring it to me to fire it, and when you bring it in the car, make sure that you put it in a box and put some paper and stuff around it so that it doesn't fall over when you're driving or when your parent is driving, because we don't want it to get ruined. Anyway, I hope you really had a fun time making kitty cats with me. I sure enjoyed my time with you, and I hope to see you soon. I need my rolling pin. Pause.
I didn't mean to see it.
Oops. Okay, let's get started here. I forgot to mention you'll also... Okay, we're just going to cut around our piece, cutting in close to the base. When cutting it out, oh, good timing. So for the details, we're going to zoom in just a smidge here. I'm going to move it over a little bit so you can see better. Whoops, we went the wrong way. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so for